Hi, Svitlana.
Hello, Arne.
What are the smart moves you're going to show to us today?
So, one of my favorite aspects of chess is creativity. So, I thought that today we could look at a few really nice tactics that could be both a creativity and a calculation test for you and the viewers.
Fantastic. Yeah, tactics are always very welcome, and if we can train them together, that's even better for you at home. Of course, the positions are in our ChessBase news article, but take this opportunity to just flow with us and train the tactics a little bit like you would do in a training session. So here we go. Okay, so
Mhm.
here I think the tactic is. Oh wait, we're not done yet.
Yeah, so I have a few positions, and I think they're increasing in difficulty, but we'll see which one ends up to be the hardest.
Okie
So
dokie.
here's the first position. It came from a game between Jonathan Tisdale and Graham Lee. And Black has just played queen to g6, trying to exchange queens.
Mm-hmm.
And the question here is, how would you react? It might be a bit, once you know that there is a tactic, it might be a bit easier to find it,
Mm-hmm.
but you still need to look.
Okay, so for you at home, of course, first tactic, if you want to, you can pause the video now and think for yourself, and then we will talk a little bit about the tactic. So, interestingly enough, I do not immediately see the solution yet. So, what happens if I take the rook, the king takes back, and then there's just nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So we
Mhm.
can get rid of the checks and of the capturing the pieces. So how can we make a threat? How can we build up a threat? That's the question. So a couple of things. There's the rook on d1, there's the pawn on e5, and of course the bishop has to play a role as well. Unfortunately, there's no knight. That would be
Mhm.
great. That would be
Yeah.
easy. I guess a knight would be nicely to deliver to a checkmate, but So I would love to get rid of my e-pawn to get my rook on e1. And
That's already a good thought in the right
yes,
direction.
thanks. So what happens if the queen goes to f6? That's a checkmate threat. Can't Black do anything else than take back with the queen here?
Yeah,
I
so queen
wonder.
f6 is one of the options. It's not the right solution,
Oh,
because if we do this, it looks pretty good and looks like the king um, is under attack, but black can get out of it by playing d5 and
yeah.
just covering with the bishop. And the problem here in all of these endgames is that white is down a piece.
Not favorable. We have to find a different
Yes.
idea.
And the same problem comes with this endgame.
Yeah.
Positionally, it's great, but it's just a piece down.
Okay, so then we have to do the thing which I thought of, I don't know, third or second. We have to push the pawn to e6. The question is, how much of a threat is it? Because I see a threat. After the queen would take the queen, for example, let's state the
Yeah.
obvious, then our pawn can take on d7, and I think after a check on e1, yeah,
There is mate
that
on
is mate,
d8.
yeah. But what if the bishop takes, though?
So if anything else covers, then there's rook d8. But if the bishop
True,
takes,
yeah. It's the
exact same thing.
same question, same thing, yeah. Good, so far so good.
Yeah.
But the
So
problem is,
e6,
of
I think, was the
course,
hard move. But what was the problem?
the problem is that the queen doesn't have to take the queen. So
Right?
black has a couple of more options. Well, not that
Well,
many, because
exactly.
cannot
So
take
first,
with the
maybe
queen.
this one.
Yeah. Okay, so we take back like this. Oh, that's a checkmate too. Queen e7.
Exactly. So this one, we figured it out. What about this one?
Well, I think it's also, again, the same system. We take on d7, give a check on e1, and that's another checkmate. Oh,
I don't know about checkmate, but we can just win the rook and have a checkmate very soon.
yeah. Whoopsie. Yeah. Checkmate in a couple of more
Well,
moves.
he escapes, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So this is true. And well, another capture that's left is the queen, which is
And
simple.
there we just win the queen, I guess.
We win the queen, and it's a rook and a piece for a queen, but it's a very strong piece, and the queen is also almost checkmating. So it's not
True.
one of those imbalances that becomes unclear. So actually, there's not really that many captures. So in the game, Black played d5.
Oh, okay.
After which White simply captured
Takes back.
And finished in style by, you could have just taken like this.
Yeah.
And I think this is very simple to make the rook join, but decided to play e7 and just have the queen hanging every single move.
How cute.
With the idea of rook d8 now.
That is nice.
And win the rook, win the knight, and the king is still in trouble, getting checkmated sometime soon. So, you know, once you know that there's a tactic here, then you do start looking for moves like e6.
Yeah.
But it was good that you noticed it anyway. I thought it was a nice and not really typical queen sacrifice.
This is actually a very good point, of course, what you're making when you know that there is a tactic. So I guess it's always suspicious if the opponent king has no space, has no move, has no squares left, right? Then it's always maybe a good idea to double or triple check if there would be a tactic. But yeah,
I mean,
so
I think if you're playing a classical game, then on every move you have the time to think if there is a tactic. So as you did, so maybe quickly scan all the checks, the captures, and then a couple of threats that seem the most dangerous, so that for sure there's nothing to miss. Because in a classical game, you do have time to do that on every move, or at least in positions that are in high tension.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes, good point. All right, next one. Bring it on. I'm in top form.
Yeah, you got this one. So the second position comes from the 8th world champion, Mikhail Tal. And not only did he find this spectacular combination in a game, but it was also played in a simul. So that's even more impressive. But I'm sure that tactics like this were just easy for him, being such a tactical and attacking player.
Perhaps.
So I'll just go from the start. It was a Sicilian dragon.
Yes.
And he was
learning
playing
a lot
white.
about it at the moment with the show with Chris Ward, the monthly dragon.
Right. Is it one variation every month?
Yes. And this one, I know already, it's the Yugoslav attack.
Yep, it is the Yugoslav. That's true. So here the position started opening up, and Tal played g5, which is one of those typical plans to move the knight and just to try to open up the center where the black's king is. And then after the capture, he captures back, and this is where the interesting part starts. So, of course, because I'm asking, then you know that the move is not to recapture the rook, but I'd like you to calculate the variation until the end as to which alternatives you see. Although I must say that rook h1 also leads to a really good position. It's just a slow, like it's not an immediate win, and it's kind of a slower type of advantage. But white would still be better just because of the piece activity. So,
okay, for you at home, time to stop the video and think for yourself. So this is interesting for a couple of reasons, because whatever we do else except very odd moves as a white player, black will take the rook on d1. So it's really interesting to calculate this into it too. But let's start. So there's no checks, but we can take a couple of pieces. And of course, I can see that there are some discovered moves, like for example the knight on c3. If it moves away to a different space, then the black queen is vulnerable, and maybe this is the thing to take care of. Now, first of all, we have to take this knight. I just need to see what happens next. So if we take, the rook takes, I guess.
Yeah.
With a check. We take back with one of our many pieces. Let's just take with the... Oh. How about we take away with the knight?
You got it.
Yes, I think I do.
And then...
How beautiful. So knight has to take, otherwise queen has to take, otherwise the queen is gone. And we take the bishop and say, hello, queen.
Exactly.
Or even rook. No, queen. Queen it has to be.
Yeah. So this threatens to make a queen, threatens to make a checkmate. And the pieces are just all defending each other, which I thought was really funny. And the queen cannot capture anything. We will end up either getting our own queen, or we can also take this queen if it doesn't move. So it was it was only one variation to calculate, but I think it's a hard one if you don't know that it's coming, right?
Sure.
To allow the rook to take like this.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, because this is almost never a situation where you go like, let's think about some tactics, because you always have this in the back of your mind, this automatic move, like, well, it's going to be a check in the next move anyway, so I have to take care of that. But wow, genius.
So that's why at this point, I think you don't even really look for the alternatives, because you just automatically think that, oh no, next move they're going to take with check.
Exactly. I would have never, but then, Tal just probably did this. He calculated taking on f6 because he is Tal.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because you look anyway, and as we saw, it doesn't even take that much time. You just calculate one move further than you would have, and that's what it takes to win a game, is to calculate just one or two moves further than the opponent did. So I thought this was this was an interesting variation. When I was picking these, I was trying to choose things that I've never seen before, or something that was special and creative. So of course, rook h1 would also be fine, and maybe he would have won it in a slower game. But this just wins right away.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's nothing really to do, because if they I don't know, if they take back the pawn, then we can take back the rook and just win a piece. But they can also play rook h7 to kind of defend, but then it's two pieces against the rook.
Yeah.
And against not a very good rook, and the two pieces should be good here to attack this king and to open the center, take control of the open h file. So it would still be a winning advantage for white.
Wow. Do we have another one?
We do.
Nice.
And
starting to get fun, but of course I was lucky, so.
No, but you're in good tactical shape today. You notice,
daily form.
What I think it helps that the way that you think out loud is you right away mention some things that could be potential tactics. How you mentioned that the queen, that the knight could make a discovered attack on the queen, and the more you do these things in your head during the game, the more one of them could actually work out.
Yeah, that's also a very good point. Thanks. Yeah, true. Yeah, I learned a lot of the tactical stuff with Lawrence Trent when I did the show with him. That was very helpful, I have to say, I think. All right, so we're white.
Yeah, and this is probably, at least to me, this was probably the most difficult one, but we can take it step by step. And there's only one solution here.
Okay, so there's a check on f1 with the bishop, but then the king moves away, and that's that. We can take on c6, and I have to say this was one of my very first thoughts, because so my thought was like this: taking on c6, the bishop probably takes back, then we give a queen check on c4, the king has to move, and probably to b7 to protect the bishop, and then we have to find something interesting with our knight.
I thought that this was also the most creative part.
Oh my goodness!
What?
Is it queen takes c6, or is it barely not working?
Well, let's try it.
Let's try it out. So the king probably takes back. And now where does the knight go? So the knight, I guess it has to go to e5 to... maybe not. I thought the knight has to go to e5 to block d7.
Yeah, and that's true. Because, if you go somewhere else and then you planned to win the queen like this, but then
it's just not working. Yeah.
But then they have a rook left.
True.
So that's not enough for just a knight.
Oh, but how? Okay, so how does this continue then? We go to e5, and the king has only one square left, which is c5. So how do we close this? No way. Is it c3? No, it's not.
No.
Because the queen will go to f5. And so I'm looking at knight going to f3, of course. d3, pardon me.
Yeah.
The king only has d4, if I see this correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, and the king still doesn't have. So now it's the king going to d2, and then the pawn going to c3.
Yeah, so if you look at these, it's all blocked up. So king d2 is actually the other creative move that just seals the deal. And c3, no matter what black plays, c3 on the next move is the checkmate. But you found it so quickly.
Thank you. Well,
this one was forcing. Once you see the, you just needed to find the queen c6 idea and the king d2 idea. So
nice.
It's these are the two creative parts of it that you just need to find these ones despite everything. But once you look at the checks, captures, and threats, as you've mentioned, then any tactic is solvable.
Out of a sudden, every tactic, yeah. These are those steps. These are the steps which are so important. And yeah, you have to do this in the long game, as you said. You have to, or you can do it in every single move. So, I think that was fantastic. I'm proud of myself.
I am proud of you too.
Thanks, coach. I hope you at home enjoyed this too. It looked fabulous, really, really nice positions you found here. Very, very enjoyable. Thank you, Svitlana. We see each other soon enough, and I wish you all the best at the women's tournament in Cuba.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, make us proud.
I'll try to play good games so that I can show some of the games in our show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.